Namaste, everyone. Welcome back to Ripples in the Sand after what seems like a lifetime. This is a podcast brought to you by the folks at Drifting Sands Haibun, where we invite Haibun poets who have appeared in the journal to both read and discuss their poetry. I am your host, Sangeeta Kalarikal. To our regular listeners, thank you and hope you have subscribed to our YouTube channel so that you won't miss out on our activities. Do like, love, spread the love and word of poetry to your friends. Today's podcast had a lot of hiccups because our poet and I are on the opposite sides of the world, and the internet gods were not too kind on us until now. But we have such an interesting conversation ahead for you, and the poetry is excellent. So sit back, get a cuppa, and get ready for engrossing time. Folks, my guest today, Neena Singh, is an award winning haijin. I'm sure you've definitely read her work, which is regularly published in international journals. She was shortlisted for the Haiku Foundation of the America's Touchstone Award for Individual Poems in 2021. More recently, in 2022, her haiku won honorable mention in the Vancouver Cherry Blossom Contest. She is the guest editor of The Wise Owl and a featured columnist on Rhyvers, a multimedia digital portal, where she hosts the column Haiku Blossoms for the appreciation of Japanese short forms of poetry. To go and visit these sites. Welcome, Neena ji. Namaste.
Namaste, Sangeeta. I'm honored to be having this conversation with you for Drifting Sands, Ripples in the Sand podcast.
And more than that, I'm honored to be talking with you. You're such an established haijin. So,
Thank you so much.
So here in the Midwest, we've had a very strange spring. We're gearing up now for warmth. It's still cold a little bit. And in India, however, it's the peak of summer now. And I hear there have been unusually early rains in some parts. How's it there in Punjab?
After spring here, the temperature is touching around, say, 30, 35 degrees max and a minimum of 20. But summer has arrived and the laburnum and gulmohar trees have started to blossom. So we see a lot of yellow and red on the skyline. Yet we had rain and thunder here in the morning, so it's cooler. So it's some kind of a freaky weather here too, where
Isn't it?
we had thunder, lightning, rain in the morning, and but it's good. It's good to enjoy. In May, it's never. Yeah, it's quite freaky. In fact, I read in the papers about 3-4 days back that it has been the coolest May in Chandigarh in last 70 years.
So my goodness.
So
there's something really
climate change is
about
happening
this.
everywhere. Yeah, everywhere in the world we see this climate change happening. But yes, summer is here, and
the trees are all responding.
Yes.
So that is a great segue for our first haibun for the session, Summer Allegro. Would you like to say something about it before you start?
I will. I will tell you that this Summer Allegro, it was written in May, June 2021. And these were, as you know, our summer months. Then lockdown had been lifted, yet COVID restrictions were continuing. And my writing, is mostly experiential and inspired by walks in the neighborhood gardens, and of course also with travels. And that time travels were restricted. So this haibun was about my walk in the fragrance garden, which is about 10 minutes walk from my home, and it's our haven. I love to walk here, and the haiku in this is also a scene from the garden. So would you like me to read it?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. Summer Allegro. On my morning walk, I see a row of laburnum trees that have rained blossoms to carpet the lane. Last night's showers have cooled the summer heat. I pick a golden yellow 5-petaled flower, breathe in its musky scent, and keep it in my pocket. The sky holds grey clouds, and cool breeze scents the air as I enter the garden. The lockdown has been lifted, and residents are enlivening the park again. Some faces look familiar, but the masks make recognition difficult. Yet, people smile, greet, and converse with a spirit of freedom. A group of youngsters is practicing exercises in the open air as gyms are still closed. Seniors are seated on benches discussing the pandemic and the vaccination schedules. The swings are empty as it's too early for the children to be awake. A rag picker peers inside a dustbin. A koel cuckoos. A rag picker peers inside a dustbin. A koel cuckoos.
Thank you. The description is so vivid.
Thank you, Sangeeta. This was published in Drifting Sands, issue 10 in July 2021, and Keith Follett was the guest editor.
Thank you for that. That Haibun not only took me back to the pandemic lockdown times, but it also brought refreshing memories of when we got back out of lockdown. So that was very nice. So Neena ji, in your poems, I've often noticed that you use non-English words very effectively. For example, in this poem, you use the word coil. Personally, I find it very endearing. In other poems, you've used German and French as well. So, what is your philosophy behind this?
Well, Sangeeta, that's an interesting question. And I think using non English words, which as you say, I use often Hindi, French, German, Irish, etc., they add an untranslatable flavor. There are certain words which, cannot be translated. And they sound so beautiful when you use them. And it's an untranslatable flavor, and they make the haibun richer. For example, in this, if you see the title, the allegro. Now, in music, allegro distinguishes a movement that's meant to be played very quickly. So there are many Italian musical terms that describe or direct the tempo or speed of the music, and allegro is one of these. The word actually means cheerful in Italian, from the Latin root of alecrim, lively, cheerful, or brisk. So, keeping it as the title came spontaneously to me to describe the feelings of cheer and vibrancy after the lockdown period, awakening. That kind of coming back to life. Yeah. In Awakening, you have read some of my haibun and you talked about them earlier. In Awakening, I have used the Hindi word satnaja for the 7-grain mix used for bird food. In Pabulum, I used Ujala School Ghar, that also halfway home. And I would like to corroborate what I'm saying with the valuable comment. Sometimes, editors, they give you feedback which stays with you, and you feel that this feedback, with Brian Rickert, I would just like to give for a haiku which I had, for a haibun which I had submitted to him for failed haiku, that was Pabulum. He wrote, I will tell you that there is one aspect that I really like about your haibun: the use of non-English words with a small explanation behind it. I think in our global society and in this global journal, we should have more of this. It makes the haibun rich and alive to have language and culturally specific words and terms strategically placed in the prose. This may not always work in the haiku scenario, but it is wonderful in prose.
Yeah, that's so true. And it's so valuable, as you said.
True.
To have an editor say that. So you mentioned Awakening.
Yeah.
Would you like to read that for us?
Sure.
Thank you.
Awakening. Savoring the crisp pre-dawn breeze, I inhale deeply. The sky is dark indigo, and breathing in the stillness quiets my agitated mind. The celestial beauty of the moon and stars continues to glitter. The dark shadows of trees are visible. Birds have still not woken up. I fill the feeder with Satnaja, the 7-grain bird feed, and pour water in the earthen bowl with the garden hose. Pulling my shawl close, I chant softly the morning prayer my father used to recite aloud while the household slept. Loud argument. The silence of the night falls in between. Loud argument. The silence of the night falls in between.
Thank you. How exquisite. I love your descriptions. They're so vivid and they bring you right there. I can imagine. Uh, I can imagine this early morning scene. With the chanting and everything, and everything is so quiet at the same time. So beautiful.
Thank you, Sangeeta. This was published in Failed Haiku, December 2021, and guest editor was Robert Berry.
Thank you for that. So, silence, the echoes of silence. That's another one which is so. I've always liked that one. Would you like to read that one for us?
Yeah, I will. And this too is Sangeeta based on an experiential thing. Most of them, they'll resonate with the audience or the reader because they come straight from my heart. I have gone through these sentiments and emotions, and I've tried to express them in the way I best know how to express. That's all I do. So Haibun is a beautiful medium to be able to do this. So echoes of silence. The child lies curled up on the bed in the care home. He opens his mouth as if to speak. His lips contort. The tongue moves, but no words come out. Bending down, I caress his small head. His coal black eyes look at me with an expression I cannot fathom. A faded blue t-shirt with Superman etched on it hangs loosely on his body. I sing to him from a Disney song as he closes his eyes. When you wish upon a star. As I walk out of the home to my car, my eyes scan the twilight sky. Autumn chill. A gust of wind fogs my breath. Autumn chill. A gust of wind fogs my breath.
This really stopped me in my tracks, especially the line where you have the Superman t-shirt but hanging loose on the child's body. That struck me so hard. It's beautiful. Thank you.
This was published in Drifting Sands, issue 11, September 2021, and Dinah Webb was the guest editor. Now, in this Haibun, if I tell you about how editors help. Now, in this Disney song, which I used to actually sing for my son when he was small, and he on his cot, on his that wooden cot we have here in India. On that, there are those wooden bars. On that, you can screw some things and little trinkets and things. You would also be knowing that. So he had that small radio kind of a thing, which had you could play music on it, and you could just wind it up, and it used to play. And this was the music which used to play when you wish upon a star. No matter who you are, whatever your heart desires will come true. So I had written all the 4 lines. When you wish upon a star, no matter who you are. This was a Disney song, and she said, "No, don't write the whole thing, and don't write that you used to sing it for your son. Just delete that. Leave it. Just." So editors sometimes give you such good pointers, and one is grateful to them for that.
Absolutely. Any nugget that we can get from the editor.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, folks, Neena walked away from a very successful banking career to be actively involved in humanitarian, environmental, vocational, and social welfare projects. She is the trustee and chief functionary of Bharat Prakarsh Foundation, an Indian non government organization whose mission is quality interventions in the education and health of underprivileged children in government schools and daycare centers. Would you please talk to us a little bit more about your volunteer work, Neena ji, and how it affects your Haibun?
Sure, Sangeeta. You have given an introduction about the Bharat Prakash Foundation. Well, I was a banker for nearly 30 years, and of which the last 10 years were heading the northern region of a private bank and dealing with the privileged class of society. When I decided to move on, the mission was to give back and work for the economically underprivileged, especially children, to enable them to fulfill their basic education and health needs. So, with this in mind, we set up a non-profit public trust. You named it Bharat Prakarsh Foundation in 2007, and we started work in government schools and daycare centers. In India, we call them Anganwadis. Our major projects, of course, were BPF scholarships for deserving and needy students. We did a safe water project by installing water purifiers at 500 centers and 47 creches. We did a nutrition project for reducing malnutrition amongst children, Poshan, through information and incentives, which was quite a long, it was a project which lasted long, and we had to take the weights and all of the children for a period of time. So we gave recipe books to mothers of those children and cash incentives to workers, and the entire research showed a drop in malnutrition by 5% for the combined treatment. So it was really a very successful project, and it gave a lot of satisfaction. We have set up libraries in schools, senior citizens' homes, juvenile home, Nari Niketan, which is a shelter for women, and I visit orphanages, women's shelters, senior citizens' homes, homes for the disabled or specially abled, and we try to contribute in whichever way we can. So this is a highly satisfying and a beautiful part of my journey now.
I find it so amazing that you find such a big place in your heart for the whole world almost, Uh, and so much work is being done. I hope folks will be able to go to your website, your blog. I think you have a link there.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and I will talk about that at the end. I'll give the link and all
Sure,
in the show notes. Yeah.
sure.
Uh, so, what do you have next for us?
Well, linked to the work we do. Yeah, linked to the work we
Yes.
do. This is a Haibun, which I'll tell you about the home we had set up, the Ujala School Girl Ghar.
Mhm.
It was set up for this purpose. Let me read it out to you.
Yes, thank you.
Pabulum. The halfway home, Ujala School Ghar, is a ray of light and hope for economically underprivileged children. A home for 6 to 12-year-old children whose parents are daily wagers and work long hours. So children come to this home after school. Entering the class, I see the children in their blue school uniforms sitting on a red durry, woven rug. The teacher is drawing Mickey Mouse on the blackboard. A curly haired boy shows me his drawing of Mickey. I narrate the story of Walt Disney, how an imaginative boy, passionate about drawing, can have a brilliant idea and create a world of fun for kids. I also share videos of my visit to Disney World on my laptop. They crowd around me, and their excitement is palpable at seeing this magical animated world on the screen. Posse of fireflies. Light sparkles inside and outside. or say of fireflies. Light sparkles inside and outside.
Thank you. It tugs at one's heart.
Yeah. This was published in Failed Haiku, issue 83, November 2022, and Brian Rickert was the editor. Now here again, the title. I will just tell you a little bit, and the listeners about the title. Now, pabulum means it's nutrition, nutrition. So I in the end, what I had done was I had written that the food arrives. These children in these daycare centers and the half, they are given food by the government. That is one of the incentives which make them come to the center. So then the midday meal or the supplementary nutrition program under the SNP which arrive for them. So they are so busy looking at the screen that today they are not bothered about the food. So I had written that line that today, their nutrition is just this, seeing this and hearing this, but not the food which actually is going to give them physical nutrition. So it's some kind of a inner nutrition. So, so he said, no, let them wonder why you have named it. Delete the last line. Leave something.
Actually, it did work. It did work because when I didn't know what it meant, to tell you frankly. So I googled it. Google is the how to say educator, the doctor, and everything, right?
True.
So but then when I figured that out, I just came to know what's going on there. It goes to show how the title can add to a haibun.
Yeah, the title, then the prose, and the haiku. A good haibun, I always feel, and all the literature I've read about it, is that these three things: the title, the prose, and the haiku. They should link and shift and take you to some, take you ahead of that. It should not be the same words which you've used in the prose to be in the title or in the haiku. So it has to be something link and shift and take it to another, bigger universe. That
works really beautifully.
Yeah, that works. Yes. True. I've had great guidance from people and these established poets, and I'm always grateful and beholden to them.
So in our chat before, you mentioned that you were mentored by Dr. Anjali Deodhar. Can you tell our listeners a bit about your experience?
She was the one who brought me to haiku, Sangeeta.
Okay, wow.
before that, I was writing haikus. I didn't know. I was just writing 3-line poems and thinking that these were haiku. I had not studied the whole, literature behind haiku and how it originated in Japan and what all went behind it and what are the rules and the kigo and the kireji. And so she actually, in my first book, Whispers of the Soul, I had written these, like I told you, 3 lines: haiku of love and longing, haikus of love and longing. And she when I told her about the book, and it was just all serendipity that the bookstore owner where the book was, he told me about her. He said that she's a haiku poet living here in Chandigarh. You haven't met her? I said no. He said give me her contact, and that's how we connected. And I wrote to her and we spoke, and it turned out she was living very close to my place. And then we started meeting and talking and exchanging mails, and she told me so much about it. She used to send me links, she used to send me books, and it was so beautiful, the relationship we shared. And really respected her a lot. She was my friend, mentor, guide, and we shared a lot. And 2 years after that, we lost her. And then that was a big loss. And still, I remember her always. And her haiku, Tai Chi, a blue heron takes up the master's pose. This was recently, this was recently, put up when we went to Pune for the Triveni Utsav, which Kala Ramesh organized. And Kala has been a great motivator. Another person whom I greatly respect is Dr. Pravat Kumar Padi. He has mentored me a lot, and he gives so much guidance through his articles, essays, and his links which he sends me. And Kala Ramesh, of course, that when I came to this Triveni and all the poets there, Vandana Prashar, Arvind. There are so many, Ravi Kiran. I mean, we are all, I mean, connected. You know, it's, and these ties are not blood ties, but they are ties of the soul.
Yes.
Yeah, these are
Yes.
ties of the soul, and you feel
Yes.
so happy to be having friends like this. And of course, see Richard Grant. When I was in Seattle with my son, we connected on video, and he shared so many things. I shared with him, and I put up my thing on the Poets Hub, and these people are so generous. Just see how much time they spend on new poets. I'm really impressed by them.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Yes, we walk in their footsteps.
Very true. Very
Especially the new haijin. We walk in you guys' footsteps. Oh. Um. We. Do you have another Haiku Gray Shades for us?
Yes, yes.
Would you like to talk about it before you read
This
it?
is a very
Or
poignant
you
one
want to?
for me, because when I was in Philadelphia, when my son was in Philly, I had this neighbor, this Swiss lady, Sigrid, and she was so agile at her age. She was over 90, and so agile and so lively, and she reads a lot, and totally, like alert. And I told her I would like to visit some center for the old people, because I do that work in India, and she was so interested in my work. And she said, okay, I'll take you to this center. And we went to see this center for the aged. And just let me read about it, then I'll tell you a little bit more.
Yes, please.
Gray Shades. Sigrid and I arrive at the center for the aged to visit Joan, a 98-year-old resident. Joan greets us with a gentle smile that wrinkles her white parchment skin and brightens the blue of her eyes. I am introduced as a friend from India. I have a dog I love, Fergie. We go for walks together, she says. Do you think Fergie is here? Blinking tears, she nods away her past. The walls of the room have no pictures. She looks at the impressionist paintings in the art magazine Sigrid has brought for her, and one of them reminds her of the white cliffs of Dover. And she recites in a sweet sing song voice, I have loved England dearly. Midway, she forgets the poem, a vacant look in her moist eyes. I look outside the small window of her room. Yellow brown leaves are falling. The rose bush, almost barren now, a cold wind. The rose bush, almost barren now, a cold wind. This was published in Frog Pond, issue 43.3, fall 2020.
Thank you so much. That was so touching. That was so touching.
We've lost Joan now, Sangeeta.
Oh.
And see the cycle of life. Now Sigrid is in the aged home because she was living alone and she had a fall, and then she now sold off her house, and now she's moved into the old. But she's so happy there, and we are in touch, and she's reading a lot, and she loves my haiku. She's on my haiku mailing list, and she sends me so many things, and she shares the haiku and all the publications which I have with others, and she's so good. She's so good.
Yeah. Priceless.
Yes. These are life's experiences and how they enrich your own life. Each experience enriches you.
Yeah, it's like living so many different lives, right?
True.
Yeah. So you're so active with your volunteer work, and I'm sure it takes up most of your time. And time is something that most of us struggle with. I'm sure our listeners are interested in knowing how you carve out time for your haikai, for poetry, not just haiku. Or haikai style, even free verse, right?
Yes.
So how do you do that?
Well,
Do it
Sangeeta,
all.
Sangeeta, each of us has the same 24-hour day, though.
Exactly.
Sometimes one wishes there were more waking hours anyway. But time management is a skill we learn. And if we have a passion for something, we do eke out time. Somehow we do that, and howsoever we do that. And I am fortunate because my life partner, my husband, is very caring and he looks after the home when I am engaged in my social and literary activities. When I was in the bank, he used to look after the home too. And I was busy with my corporate job and traveling 20, 25 days a month. I was traveling out of the city and looking after so many states, so I had to travel all over India. And he would look after the home, he would look after everything, and he's so I now I tell him that you're into the habit of looking after all these things, and I am now busy with my literary and my social activities. But he's such a dear, and he's my life support, and so he helps me, and he does everything, and he takes care of me too. And I'm an early riser, so morning time is given to these health and my prayers, and then the school centers happen till the afternoon. I'm visiting these places because they operate only till the afternoon, mostly, except for the halfway home. And then post that, then there are meetings. Then I'm a member of several government committees and Rotary, and I'm on the board of some companies. So all these things are pitched in between. We prioritize how we have to do. Then evening and night time given to reading and writing. But having said that, and I know you also do that. Haiku is a part of life. So whenever during the day, whether on my walks or whether in my whatever I'm doing, when I'm visiting these school centers, I'm interacting with the children or the teacher. Whenever inspiration strikes, I put it on notes on my phone or in my mail, or I draft it. So my phone is in my hand always. Earlier, I used to keep a small pad and pen. Like Anjali told me, keep it always with you. But pencil, she used to say, keep a pencil and a small pad. I used to do that, but sometimes it's cumbersome to take it out of your purse, something like that. But phone is always there, and it's so easy. Just put it on notes, and it's always there, and you're connected.
Yeah.
You can brush it up later and polish it and edit it.
And edit and re-edit.
Yeah.
So, before you read the next haibun, would you like to tell our listeners who may not know what memento mori stands for? That is the title of your haibun, right? Inevitability of death.
Yeah. Of course, you know it. Yeah, it's that only. And normally, they show it with a skull or something like that, or a skeleton, because that is normally mementos are given, when you're parting. Right? Memento mori is a word which is used for, the inevitability of death. Yes. So this relates to that. This haibun relates to that, and it's very, very personal in my life. And but I'm going to share it with you. Memento mori. The black and white photo found in Papa's diary shows an unsmiling child of about 6, a book in her lap. I do not recognize myself in this photo. My childhood memories are grey, though some return through the stories told by family. My mother said I wouldn't eat my meals unless a book was read to me. Who will read you stories when I die? She'd ask. It seems she'd had a premonition. When I was 6, the story stopped. Reading aloud to my puppy. Winter night. Reading aloud to my puppy. Winter night.
Thank you. What a moving haibun this is. And that haiku at the end is really something. Of course, it could take the reader anywhere. For example, for me, winter signified a long, never ending night. Because that's what, I'm so way up in the Midwest US, it's winters are very long, melancholy, loneliness. So was that your intent? What did your winter signify?
You have intuited it rightly, Sangeeta. Winter night is bleak, bitter, and lonesome. And with just my puppy and a storybook for warmth, um, it came from there. And for this, since this was published in Cho Contemporary Haimun Online, and December 2021, Terry Hill French was the editor. She is again very, very,
Yeah.
talented and very generous with her feedback. She helped me with the haiku at the end, because mine was a little. I think some words were different. But she helped me with this, and she said that it's so poignant, this prose and the linking of this haiku and the title. She really loved it, and so for me, as you know, I lost my mother when I was 6, so there was a lacuna in my life, and it was filled by my dog, my books. Of course, my father was both father and mother to me, and my elder siblings, who were quite elder to me. My brother was 14 years elder. My two brothers, 14 and 16 years elder. My sister was 18 years elder to me. So they gave me all the love and affection, but that nourished me, of course. But yet, and yet, there was a hole in my heart, which I think a mother can fulfill. So this emanated from this, came from there, and once you start writing haibun, I had never written something about my mother, because I always felt there was a big hole where I couldn't write anything. And sometimes, I ask my elder sister, she's quite elder to me, she's now 85. So I ask her, why don't I have memories about my childhood? She says that you were so small when mama went, that you kind of blocked everything, and so that's why you have no memories. So that's that.
Sometimes also grief is so strong
Yes,
that
yes.
it doesn't really easily come out even in writing.
That doesn't.
Yeah, and you have to wait for a long time before you can actually write anything about it.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah. Okay, so after that, I would really like to request you to read Aurora.
From death to immortality.
Yes.
From the inevitability of death to immortality. Yeah.
Yes,
This is also a haibun which is dear to me. Well, Aurora. Lead me from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, and from death to immortality. English translation of a Sanskrit verse from the Upanishad. A bright palette paints the canvas of the sky pink and purple. The honeysuckle on the wall bursts in clouds of orange, and the fragrance of the night queen lingers to scent the morning. I witness the transition of light dark to brightness, and breathe deep the blossoming flowers. Spiritual texts have called this time the hour when the nectar of divine oneness flows in the universe. Gratefully, I carry inside the home this abundance. Borrowed light. The moon makes gourds glow. Borrowed light. The moon makes gourds glow. This was published in World Haiku Review, Winter 2021-22 issue. It was published in February 2022, and Susumu Takiguchi and Rohini Gupta were the editors.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Oh, I love that you made the moon do something technically. Instead of saying the gourds glow in the moonlight, you said like the moon is making the gourds glow. So that's really nice. Just a little bit the thing. Would you like to tell us your view of spiritual texts in general? Okay. And how it connects with the borrowed light?
Thanks, Sangeeta. Glad you liked Aurora. The beginning line, as I said, that was the English translation of from the Upanishad. Now, these are the oldest texts, as you know, in India. The Upanishads. Yeah. And this Pavaman mantra, this goes Asatoma Sadgamaya, Tamsoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Mritam Gamya. So this English translation I had already read in the beginning, that lead me from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, and from death to immortality. So our, in the morning hours, which we in spiritual text, all they describe this time as Amrit Vela. Amrit means nectar, and Vela in Punjabi means time. So this is the time when nectar flows in nature, and it offers an opportunity to get invigorated, start the day with high energy, which we call prana for our body and soul. And there's so much of quiet all around. There's no undesirable loud hints of the day. In India, we have so many sounds all the time. The milk vendor coming, the newspaper boy coming. There are lots of sounds in the environment once the day starts. So this time in the morning, it's without any aggravation, and takes us within. We can connect with our soul. We can contemplate, and we can encounter that light within, that frees our spirit from dark forces. The night has ended, and we can fortify our soul, and get ready to face the challenges of the day with grit. And I use the term borrowed light, because, like you said, the moon gets light from the sun and glows. So if we take the light of our spiritual texts and absorb it and imbibe those teachings, and then they can illuminate us ordinary mortals. We are also gods, gods. We can also shine just as gods shine in the moonlight. Maybe the spiritual texts, they can invigorate and illuminate us. And these spiritual texts have the wisdom of the enlightened sages, and when you read those words, you feel that you somehow connect with that, because inside us we do have that same spark. So that's what I feel.
What an enlightening journey you took us on, Neena ji. So we have one more haibun from you, but before we listen to it, I want to give my thanks to you for spending so much time with us at Drifting Sounds. Thank you so much, Neena ji.
Welcome, Sangeeta. Welcome. I'll read Morendo now for you.
Yes, but before that, for those who are wondering, Morendo stands for slowly fading away. That part in music.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So this is related to that. It was written for somebody whom I lost, and lost to cancer, and I'll read it. Morendo. Outside my bedroom window stands the royal poinciana tree. Its flaming orange blossoms have always inspired me to set up my easel. With the changing season, it stands bare. A single leaf clings to the branch, heedless of the wind and rain, fluttering but still holding on. I marvel at its tenacity. It reminds me of you, how you fought and held on desperately till the very end. Fulimot. Cedar trees circle the cemetery. Fulimot. Cedar trees circle the cemetery. This was published in Poetry P Journal 2.22 October 2022 and Patricia Maguire Poetry P Journal.
Neena can be found on Twitter and Instagram and at her blog Whispers of the Soul. She has authored 2 books, Whispers of the Soul, The Journey Within, and One Breath Poetry, a journal of haiku, senryu, and tanka, both of which are available on Amazon. Music for Ripples in the Sand is from Gran Art by Richard Grant. This podcast is produced by Richard Grant. This is Sangeeta Kalarikkal. Thank you for listening.